Hello, everybody, and welcome to our third installment of Accessibility Livestream. My name is Philip Arnold. I'm with OTC Online, and I'm joined today by Emily Evans, part of our DSS office here at OTC. And today we're going to be talking about autism, something that I didn't realize the prevalence of here at OTC in our classrooms. My wife teaches online, and I hear of some things that are happening in her classroom and other instructors' classrooms, but we just wanted to talk a little bit more about it since it is Autism Awareness Month. Some of you may have seen some notices and emails coming out about that. I think they're cookies, and I'll turn it over to Emily. She can introduce herself and tell you more about what she does for DSS as it has to do with autism and Autism Awareness Week, or month, I guess it is.
Okay. I'm Emily Evans. I am the Autism Education Specialist here at OTC. I basically, most of my time is spent working with students. They come visit me in my office and we can go over schedules, we can go over whatever's bugging them in class, that they can't get through a certain assignment, or having trouble breaking down an assignment, things like that. I also provide trainings. I consult with instructors. Basically whatever I need to do whenever I'm asked. So
great. Well, getting back to how many students I guess report that they are autistic. I wasn't aware of the numbers, and maybe you could tell us a little bit how many students are actually identify as autistic here at OTC.
This semester we have 79 students who identify as having autism. On the spectrum somewhere. Most of the students we have here are on the higher end of the spectrum, ones that are able to finish classes and work with the demands of college. This doesn't mean that there are only 79 students here on campus. That just means that these 79 students have come to our office asking for accommodations.
Right. And how would faculty know if they have a student with autism in the classroom?
Honestly, you might not ever know that you have a student with autism in your classroom. Every student is different. Unlike physical disabilities, autism is sometimes a hidden disability that can pose hidden challenges. Some of these challenges could include sensory issues, so bright lights in the classroom, noises, people walking by, somebody clicking a pin next to them, things like that can cause a student with autism to go into panic mode or sensory overload and cause some stress. There's also stress just with the demands of the class itself, and there's also learning appropriate coping skills. So students in high school, they've had coping skills, they've had to work through the demands of high school, but high school is also able to be modified and changed a little bit. And in college, they have to cope with what actually is due and what they have to get through in order to pass the class. A lot of students with autism have the ability to stay focused and pass their classes, but many students come first semester, second semester, and they just get overwhelmed and they don't know how to cope with things, and they shut down in class, or they start coming at students or faculty and kind of intimidating them because they don't know how to handle themselves in class. And so those are things that they have to learn while they're in college. Slow processing speeds. A lot of students will process things a lot slower. So you have to ask a question and pause and wait for an answer, wait for the student to process what you've asked them, and just wait for their answer, because it will come, but it may take a little bit longer. And then also poor executive functioning skills. So this is anything from time management, organization, breaking down assignments into smaller pieces, paying attention, being able to give their full attention to an assignment, and things like that.
So will the accommodation letters that go to faculty, will they tell faculty if a student is on the autism spectrum?
The accommodation letters only provide what the required accommodations are, or the requested accommodations. It will not ever tell you what the disability is.
Great. What would you say is the most common challenges for students on the spectrum?
I think communication is the number one challenge. By its definition of autism, all students have a communication disorder. This can be either receptive, it can be expressive, it can be some of the most talkative kids in class. They may have a really large vocabulary, but they may not understand nonverbal cues or things like that. So some of the receptive difficulties that you'll see are the slow processing, again, in verbal exchanges. So the wait time between one side of the conversation to the other, a misunderstanding of sarcasm or jokes, being very literal in their thinking. So you have to be careful what you say because they will take it very literally a lot of times. And then also the nonverbal, the gestures, the hand movements and things that they may not be able to pick up on. And also with the expressive difficulties, they may have trouble initiating conversation. So they may join in at awkward times, or they may not ever start to talk because they don't know how to break in and say what they want to say. They may have trouble staying on topic. They may not be able to organize their thoughts. They say something totally off topic because they're just not able to hold the focus. And then also their tone of voice and their volume level are also parts of this expressive difficulty.
So are there any other challenges that students face with that disorder?
There are other challenges. Some of the ones we've already mentioned, within the hidden challenges, the sensory issues, the coping skills, the processing speeds, and things like that. Those are the main challenges.
Here at OTC, what are some of the accommodations you typically provide for those students?
Most commonly, we have extended test time, so they'll have double time to take a test. Instructors are encouraged to provide lecture notes or PowerPoints, study guides for tests, and then just providing the longer time for students to be able to give answers when they're asked. Not uncommon, probably less often, a student note taker, so somebody else could volunteer in the classroom and take notes on a carbon copy paper and then be able to hand that off to the student after class. Permission to take breaks sometimes is just overwhelming in class and a student needs to step out in the hallway for just a minute or jump up and down in the back of the classroom to kind of shake off some stress. And then some of the more odd things, but that really do make sense, allowing a student to wear sunglasses in class. If the lights are too bright, the fluorescent light bulbs are kind of hard to get past sometimes. So some students will want to wear sunglasses all the time, and that's okay. And then also providing, allowing them to wear earplugs or headphones during taking tests or doing independent time or quizzes and things like that. Those are acceptable.
So if faculty find that maybe they have a student or students in their class that they might feel are on the autism spectrum, maybe they don't have an accommodation either, what resources available, what should they do?
Well, some students prefer not to identify with DSS. So if a student doesn't want to and they're having a great time in class, that's great. But if you notice them struggling, if you notice they're not getting their work done, if they're not showing up to class, they're being disruptive, they're just having some difficulty, you can refer them to us at any time. Send us an email saying, hey, can you connect with this student, or send the student over to our office to get an appointment time or things like that.
For anybody who's watching, what key takeaways from this live stream would you want them to maybe get about autism?
There's a few points. Visual supports are a lot of times the thing that drives home the information. So if you provide visual supports as much as you can, that's going to help a student with autism in your classroom. Also, students sometimes don't understand the feelings of people around them. So they may say something that most of the time we would keep to ourselves. We wouldn't say, wow, that person is fat. But a student with autism, they may go right out and say that, or they may say, wow, your breath really stinks. And can't be offended by that because they sometimes don't understand that that may be coming across as rude or too blunt. Be clear, concise, be on the point, be logical, try to clarify any deadlines, things like that. Don't make assumptions that your student understands by saying, turn your assignment in by the due date, that means the paper is due on Friday, May 5th, at this time at the end of the class. They may not get that. So just, if you have any doubt, make them repeat the instructions. When is your paper due? Where do I want it? And things like that. That could help you out.
Great. Is there anything else you want to leave us with?
Just feel free to contact me at any time. My email address is evanse@otc.edu, and my phone number 447-2695.
Great. Well, thanks, Emily. Thanks for joining us today. As always, we're going to post this to the YouTube channel, the OTC YouTube channel, which is linked in this. So if you want to check out the recorded video there, it will be closed captioned probably within 30 minutes, 40 minutes of this being recorded. So thank you all for joining us live. If you joined us live, if you're watching the recording and you need additional information, we will provide Emily's email in the forum as well. But next week for our part 5 of our accessibility series, we're going to be talking about universal design. So I hope you'll tune in for that, either live or recorded. And until then, thank you for joining us today.